Welcome to Bed and Butter, the hospitality podcast, designed exclusively for budding students and aspiring industry leaders. We're thrilled to embark on this exciting journey with you. Each episode, we'll delve into the heart of hospitality industry with your host, Sean Riley, uncovering invaluable insights, trends, and strategies to not only succeed, but thrive in this dynamic field. The podcast is produced in collaboration with Southern Maine Community College. Listen to national leaders highlight opportunities for the active hospitality professional, students of SMCC's Culinary Arts program, as well as the L. Joe Van Wy School of Hospitality. This program is a labor of love, made possible with the help of the Communications and New Media Studies students. Whether you're sharpening your skills or stepping into the world of hospitality for the first time, Bed and Butter is your go-to resource. So let's dive in and spread the knowledge, one episode at a time.
I am excited to have Matt McClelland, Chief Operating Officer of OTO Development, joining us on Bed and Butter. Matt spent 26 years with Concord Hospitality and recently became Chief Operating Officer of OTO Development, an award-winning hotel development and hospitality management company. He'll tell us an inspiring story of his life from front desk clerk in Des Moines to helming one of the most prestigious hospitality groups in America. Although he's a national leader, his roots go deep in operations, and he'll share emotional stories that molded him as a leader. I'm proud to have my great friend and industry icon on Bed and Butter. I'll guarantee you'll be laughing, crying, and become inspired. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Sean.
You know, our guests are going to be excited to learn a lot about you. And I know I've had a chance to get to know you over the last 15 years, and it's exciting to be able to share with you. But man, 33 years in the business you've had, and that's quite a career. You know, it's even more impressive that almost 30 of them is with the same company, and that doesn't happen often. So that's pretty impressive. You know, I think I read on your LinkedIn, you started in the hotel business as an assistant manager at a Fairfield, and now you're running a mega company. I don't know exactly how many hotels and associates, but I mean, I know it's in the thousands of associates. So maybe we can dig into you and your hospitality career a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that. Sean, this goes way back before I used to dream of being an assistant GM at a hotel, man. I started out in this business. I was front desk clerk. We opened a brand new hotel in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, where I grew up. I couldn't land the job. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And, you know, my general manager at the time, the guy that was running the store, his name was Chip Human. Funny story on Chip, man. He used to be the studio drummer for Conway Twitty. Most of these people these days probably don't know who Conway Twitty is, but you and I do. So he was a great guy. He has a great sense of humor. But I was young. I was 18 years old and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So he said, hey, listen, I'll hire you to work the night audit, right? For those that don't know this business, it's the 11 to 7 shift. And I'll pick up hours. I would clean rooms. I would do maintenance, anything that I could do to just try to figure out what I was going to do for a living. So, you know, the big goal was to someday be that AGM, man. And it happened, Sean. I'm just a glorified night auditor.
Can you still fold fitted sheets?
Yeah, no, I'm terrible at folding. Nobody could fold fitted sheets, John. Everybody knows it's incredibly possible. Maybe Vicky Carlson, who was my first housekeeping manager, could reteach me, but it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare folding fitted sheets. Yeah, so the short answer, Sean, is that's how my career started. I was going to college right out of high school, trying to figure out. I went to a trade school. Come from a blue-collared family. My dad's college savings plan for me was I better keep being good in sports, right? I played a lot of sports. That didn't go the way that I would have liked it to, or my dad would have liked it to. So I just felt kind of lost. Here I was at 19 years old, not knowing what I wanted to do, and thought, well, man, maybe I'll try a travel school. I went to a community college, and while I was doing that, I got this job working in a hotel, and my parents scrubbed up some money and sent me down to Florida, down to Kissimmee. I went to a little 3-month kind of basically a focused trade travel school kind of thing down in Kissimmee. And when I it was only like 3 months, right? So I left there knowing the only thing I didn't enjoy in this education process was the hotel. So I could do anything. I'll do anything. I'll do car rental. I could do airlines, but the hotel thing just wasn't for me. It's kind of boring. And here I am many years later, feeling like I've never really worked because of this crazy hospitality business that I fell in love with. And I just have this passion, man, for people to fall in love with this business like you and I have. It just offers so many cool opportunities for so many different levels. That's kind of the recap. We have 65. I did study up. We got 6,500 associates in our company. We have 150 hotels. We just opened another one today. 50 different ownership groups that we work with. We have 31 featured F&B outlets now that we're doing. And it's pretty cool, man. It's cool. Learning every day.
So that's a big group. Now you're the executive vice president. So you report to the chief operating officer and then the CEO. What does an executive vice president do?
Everything that the business needs. Everything that the business needs. And that's another thing I love about this business. I've never been pigeonholed in the hotel industry. And that's what I would tell anybody that is looking and searching. I can remember it like it was yesterday, right? Like 18, 19 years old, man, what am I going to do? I just don't want to be miserable at work. If you have the personality, and I definitely have this, that likes crazy, man. I know that you and I have known each other a long time. I dig that I don't know what is coming across my desk ever in this business for 30 plus years now. I've never had a day that's ever goes as planned. And I've never had a day that I haven't learned something new. And I've never had a day that just wasn't like, I could almost compare it maybe to I got brothers and sisters that are doctors, right? So like being an ER surgeon. You have this great plan to show up and then everything goes crazy and but I love it. And if you have that kind of personality, you just drop what you're doing and run to the hotel business. That's what people should do. If you like crazy and if you like surprises, you don't want the same thing every day. You don't want a repetitive plan, what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you're sitting there thinking, my God, I hope Friday at 5:00 comes. If you're wired like that, man, just go to the hospitality business and start working, and you'll never work a day in your life. So that's what an EVP of operations does, buddy.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's right.
6,500 people.
Yeah, so we got 6,500 people. We're across, oh man, I'll probably get this number wrong, but I think we're up to 28 different states. We're in 2 provinces up in Canada. We range from, Miami, South Miami, all the way up to Calgary, all the way across. So yeah, a lot of hotels. We're at 150 hotels.
So one of the things you mentioned earlier there, you were talking about food and beverage. And I think, a lot of our listeners could be students in food and beverage, or they could be entry-level positions in food and beverage, or even leaders. So what's a food and beverage outlet for you? You said you got 31 different outlets. Just give a smattering of a few of those, and what kind of jobs are attached to those? What can people aspire to do in food and beverage within a hotel field?
The food and beverage business is exciting. It's different every day, and it's challenging. So we have like in DC, we have the #1 rooftop bar. It's a little place called Whiskey Charlie's. It's right on the Potomac. Been the #1 rooftop bar now for 3 or 4 years. We just were named. Right down the street, we have another great rooftop outlet called Smoke and Mirrors that is located in a hotel called an AC by Marriott. It's located right down there in Navy Yard. We just opened a brand new couple 100-seat Italian themed restaurant. Toscano's is the name of that. It's a Italian seafood, really cool, in Lansing, Michigan, at a dual hotel we just opened a few weeks ago. It's an AC and a Hyatt house. And we're spouted all over the place, man. We have so many cool outlets. One's called Hook and Ladder. To answer the most important question is, what could people expect if they wanted to build a career in food and beverage, is you can make a ton of money if you're if you execute service at a high level and you've got great product. And that's what we pride ourselves in, right? So Hook and Ladder is known for, it's in Conshohocken at a tapestry that we opened almost a year ago. It's in the old historic firehouse, and we upfitted into a restaurant. We have folks that internally have grown into executive chefs that are overseeing the entire outlet, that have you have sous chef positions, kind of the AGM of the kitchen. You have food and beverage directors that are overseeing banquet operations at the same time that they're overseeing maybe one outlet or maybe 2. And when I say outlet, we often have maybe 2, 3 restaurants inside of one hotel. Just depends on the size of the property. And I'm sure most of the listeners have experienced hotels like that, where the restaurant downstairs, you got a rooftop bar, so a lot of really cool opportunities. And this business, the food and beverage business and the hotel business are wired in a way that if you're great with people, you can make a lot of money. You can, and I think if 18, 19 years old, and we're fortunate enough to have some of those folks helping us with this podcast today, right? That are learning how to do all the technical side of that stuff, right? And what I cared about then was money. I needed to survive, right? I needed to make money. And this has been a business that if you love people and if you're good at executing service, you make a ton of money. As a bartender, we can grow you into a mixologist, right? Where you're really, even though I kind of hate that terminology, but where you're really great at what you do. When someone, Sean, these days comes into one of our restaurants, they'll walk right by, and rightly so, somebody like me with a fancy title and go to who really matters, which is the chef. They want to go talk to the chef. They want to sit. We have folks that pay a ton of money to want to sit in the kitchen while the chef cooks with their buddies at a table. And we set you up a table. It's called Chef's Table back and they want to see the craziness of the back of house. That's why, the HGTVs of the world, right, have food networks, and you get to swim in that environment a little bit, right? And you learn. I love learning because I love cooking. I know you do too. And I've learned how to, make my own red sauce, right? Roll out my own pasta, and learned a lot. I know you're really good at making drinks, Sean, but I stick on the food side.
Yeah. Hey, so I think about you and how people have impacted your life, and I remember one time you spoke at a conference that I attended, and you talked about your dad and some experience that really marked you for life.
Yeah, man.
Did or something. Give me a 2-minute spiel.
A 2-minute spiel about that? All right, it's very simple, but it's gonna be more than 2 minutes. I know our time is limited, but I'm an Irish guy. My dad is a semi driver, but his passion was making woodwork. Right, he was a very gifted cabinet maker. He would take antiques and reinvigorate the antiques and refinish it. Right, and super gifted. I hated it, Sean. Here's why I hated it. My dad would come down Saturday morning. I remember it started when I was about, 8 years old, maybe a little bit younger. I had a waterbed. Remember back in those days, the 80s had a waterbed. And my dad would take his foot at like 6:30 in the morning, and he'd start real slow at the end of the waterbed, right? And the waves would start. And then sooner or later, you get kind of booted out of the bed because the waves. So there was no sleeping in, is what my point is. And he'd say, I was a kid, right? So I didn't know what he was really doing then. But he'd say, hey, man, why don't you come out in the shop with me? And he had a little 2-car garage. It was never parked a vehicle in it because he had all of his woodworking stuff. And we went out, and he would give me the worst job in the world, which to me was sanding anything. And he would say, start off with this paper, say 80 grit paper, and then you go up to maybe a 100 grit paper, and then maybe a 120 grit paper. Saying, and here's the thing, Sean, he didn't trust me to do anything right. So he made me sand the inside of freaking dresser drawers, right? I'm 8, 9, 10, all the way up to, so here's the best part of the story. So I don't know, man, I'm like 16 at the time, and I'll never forget it. And it really did teach me a work lesson that's never left me. I think a life lesson that's never left me. And my dad always wore these earmuffs, man. He's running this saw. And it was my moment, right? Like this is my moment where I'm just, man, I'm done with this, right? And I'll keep it clean what I said, but I didn't intend my dad to hear it, but he did. He shut that saw off, Sean, right at the time that I said, this is a bunch of crap. And he turned and looked at me, and my dad he always wore this red bandana, man. He's covered in dust. And he takes his safety glasses off. And I thought, man, this is it. This is my moment. I'm dead, because this is back in the day, Sean. You and I grew up. If you were late for dinner, you got popped in the back of the head, and nobody called the cops, right? So I'm like, this is it. My dad's gonna kill me, and he's like, what did you just say? So I give it to him, Sean. I tell him, I said, you know what, man? My whole life you've been making me get out of bed early. My buddies are sleeping in. I got to come out to this stupid garage. You make me sand the inside of these drawers. Nobody cares, Dad, about the inside of the drawers. I probably don't have fingerprints to this day. And I said, and I hate it. I hate being out here. I hate doing this. And nobody cares, man. Nobody cares. So I blow it up, right? And instead of popping me in the back of the head like I expected, he took his glasses off, like I said, had his earmuff sitting there, and he looks at me and he said, "Hey, you know what I do every 5 days a week?" He said, "I take a semi and I pick it up, and when I walk in the door, they say 2253." And he says, "Yeah, 2253." And they go over and they grab my keys. I sign them out. I go to my truck. I drive it across the state. I pull in, and you know what the next person says to me, Matt? "You 2253? Yes, sir, I'm 2253. And I drop that load and I pick up another one. He said, "I've never been," 47 years he did this, Sean, 47 years. He said, "You know what? When I go to work 5 days a week, I'm nothing but a number to these people, nothing but a number." He said, "But when somebody comes to my shop and they come and they pick up something that I've worked on, and that you've worked on, it's Ron McClelland's shop, man. And they know that the work that we've done is because we're putting our name on it. It's the only time that my name matters. It's because of the work that I'm doing." And so what I took away from that, and I always get choked up talking about it. What I took away from that was you pour I love this business, but I love the fact that I can work. I stay in the inside of the drawers, man. I want to stay in the inside of the drawers. I get 6,500 associates that I'm responsible to give them a work environment, give them a product that they're proud of, that I'm proud of. I've been able to help be a part of building a great company for, like you said, almost 30 years. It's that drive. It's that being able to put your fingerprint on something. And when you can put your fingerprint on service, man, the power of serving people I don't think there's a better high out there, man. The ability to lift somebody, you know this better than anybody. When somebody comes into your lobby and they're a farmer, a lot of the hotels I ran was in the Midwest, and these farmers would come in and they'd have that one shopping event that they were taking their wives. You could tell they were uncomfortable. They'd come in and probably hadn't put that shirt on for but a funeral or maybe a wedding, right? But they were dressed up and man, you could greet them at the door and you can elevate them and they feel important because they are. And that is the power of service. And I have been high on that for a long time. I'll always be high on that. And I get to sand the inside of the drawers when it comes to executing service, man. And being able to be surrounded by people on the team that I'm fortunate enough to lead that are better at doing that than I am is just a huge blessing, man. And that to me is what success is being surrounded, doing what you love, and doing it with an immense amount of pride and an immense amount of passion. And I give a lot of that credit to my dad. I also give credit to getting popped in the back of the head. That teaches you something too, right? Get to the dinner table first, or you don't eat, kind of stuff,
Right. Well, that's that. I remember. I didn't remember all the story, and it's just, I love that. We work every day, and we got to stay on the inside, and then we take care of our people. So that's really cool. So one of the things I really admire you about is, you're an icon. As an executive vice president of a company that's that magnitude, 6,500 people, the kind of sales that your company does on an annual basis, it's just amazing. I think our listeners already are saying, "Wow, this guy's something." But let's take it back. What's success to you? What do you see as success? And I think you kind of said it is taking care of those people. But let's take it a little further. What's success to you when you look at family?
Man, I get to experience it all the time. It's so I decided I got a kid that lives out in Nashville. I got a kid that lives in Laguna Niguel, California. I got another one that lives in Denver, Colorado. And then my daughter is 23 and she still lives at home, getting ready to move to Wilmington, North Carolina. Here's what success is to me. My wife wants of 32 and a half or 33 years. I never know exactly. We still like each other. Okay. I mean that we still like each other. When just happened two days ago, I was on the phone with one of my boys in California and I said, "Hey, I just got off the phone with with the Nashville kid, man, and we're gonna go do some haunted houses because we're terrible at haunted houses. We're like scared 6-year-olds, but we're gonna go do it. And we were talking, and the success part is this, Sean. My son, he's 30, I think he's 31 or 32 right now, and he said, "Dad, I want you here with me." So my other boy finds out that we're doing that. He says, "I'm flying out. I want to hang out with you guys and go to haunted houses." And my wife's going with us. And that to me is success. It isn't, it's living, it's freebasing this life that you have, man, every single day. Like it's a gift from God, like it is. And, I could tell you that story, the reality of when all of that came into my life through the hard path that happened. But man, it changed me forever. And that is success. Now, you and I know the business metrics, and I could talk all day about the business metrics and what success looks like, what it doesn't look like. How do we drive success? What are the metrics we put in place, the mechanisms we put in place to make sure that we're executing at the highest level? And you can map all that out. You can have the best spreadsheets. You can have the best systems in the world. But I'll tell you something, man. If people don't want to be around you, if people don't feel cared about, if people don't feel appreciated, none of that matters. It won't work. And I think I proudly say, I've never really had, you asked, we were talking a while ago, and you said something about tell me about a bad boss you've had. Most of the time when I felt like I had a bad boss, I just needed to learn what it was about me that I was trying to project on that bad boss. I've never really had a bad boss. We've always morphed in. I've always had great teams. I've always loved the people that I work with. And I'll always come back to that word because it matters, man.
So you said talk about success. Someone gets to your level. I mean, we're talking big time. I mean, it's like I still marvel that I can talk with someone at your level. But but the success habits, what kind of, giving 2 or 3 success habits you have that help you get through the tough career that you have, and the kind of, I mean, you obviously get 6,500 people counting on you. What kind of success habits do you have?
I'm big on organization, like structure, to take it to the very basic levels. When I would go around and I kept getting promoted and promoted and promoted, I was taking on new hotels, and I always take the worst situation, right? I was one of the hardest situation because there was nowhere to go. It was like a layup to me. It was like, this is so screwed up. I even can't screw it up more, right? So there's only one way to go but up. And there was one thing that I would always do, Sean. I'd find one person, just one person that I knew cared, right? Just a little bit. And we would always go organize one space. Maybe it was the back, maybe it was the maintenance storage room. Maybe it was the closet storage behind, or the office storage area behind the front desk. It was always a space that all of the associates would be in. Sometimes it was redoing the break room that was maybe dilapidated, and we needed to make it as important as it is and as perfect as it should be, right? And when people would come into that space, they'd go like, "Hey, who did this?" And they was, "Oh man, me and Tani did this. We did this together." And then it would stay organized because people would realize that, hey man, and it's good for your mental health. For me, if you ask me where that's at, I'm going to reach I don't need to look, man. I'm going to reach, I'm going to grab it, and you're going to have it. There's a reason you always fill the stapler at the end of your day. And people always say the same thing. What do you mean by that? Because when I've never in my life have I reached for a stapler where I haven't been in a hurry. If you think about it, if you have to get a godforsaken stapler, it's because you usually are, and I got to get off to a meeting, right? Well, the last thing you want to do is have an empty stapler. So you plan ahead. And I take that and I spread that across the business. And I know it sounds simple because to me, I don't like complicated.
The whole idea about organizing, the whole idea about preparing ahead. And I think, you're always going to be digging a hole if you don't prepare ahead. And so
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the teamwork, man, too, right? Like being organization I've always been very dedicated to making sure in my own, between the sanding of the drawers and the filling of the stapler, and obviously the complicated pieces that go across the business, I've always over prepared. One of them too is I never go off of a summary. If I'm giving you any kind of information or data, right, and I'm sharing, I'll have an executive summary. Always start with the summary, but you'll never find me without the detail, the massive amount of detail behind it. And then that will give you and me confidence that that summary is accurate. Does that make sense? That's a really important part of how I stay organized too.
I think one of my things everyone knows, and I ask them, they're going to give me some presentation or something, and I'll say, just show me the facts. I got to see the facts. I can't make a decision based on conjecture. So I think that's similar to what you're talking about. So we probably got just a few more minutes, but maybe we'll do like a speed dating thing here.
All right.
You got 5 to 10 years. What's going to happen in our industry?
In 10 years?
Yeah.
I think we need to be careful about what AI is doing. I think that artificial intelligence in every business is becoming much more embraced because of the resource issues of just general labor and work ethic and work. If I was coming up in the business today, Sean, I would scream. And I would scream because meaning my career would be so fast. If I entered into this business right now and I'm 19 or 18 years old, I would be a general manager in the matter of months. I would be making hundreds of thousands of dollars in the matter of years. And you don't have to sit around. You don't have to go spend a ton of money on a, Ivy League education in this business. You don't. Education's important. Don't get me wrong. But this is a business you can get into. And if you're focused on people and loving on people and all those things that we talked about, and you execute service at the highest level, you're going to make great money. What I think is going to happen to our business is we're going to fold way too much towards AI because there's not enough people trying to execute service at the highest level. That's why the American environment right now is getting used to sitting in a restaurant for 30 minutes before a server came over, and they used to be there in 5 minutes. That's why it's happening. And I worry about that. The impact that'll be for the human interaction.
Okay. Tell me about, you got a, how big is your largest hotel?
400 and some keys, right at 400 keys, like 30 some thousand square feet.
How many people would work at that hotel?
Right around 300.
Yeah.
275.
And then you started at a Fairfield that probably was 80 something rooms and
130 rooms. We had I think we had a staff of like 25.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that's kind of cool, but a lot of us, we partner with Southern Maine Community College. And one of the things that's cool is that their big program spends a lot of time getting people out and trying and interning and getting out and feeling the jobs.
Perfect.
Something about your daughter changed your life. And, I know I don't want to speed you through this, but we do have to end it. But somehow your daughter really helped change your life early on in her life.
Yeah, man. I think I've told you in I lost a little girl when I was 25 years old. She's 14 months old. And not a hospital error. And it made me a better dad. It made me so thankful for every normal day that I have. And it also made me, when I look at business, I know what a hard day looks like, right? None of the stuff that I face on a daily basis is comparable to going through that. But it also tests your mettle. It tested my mettle, and it changed me as a man forever. It changed me as a husband forever. It changed me as a dad forever. And as you know, my daughter who's 23 has been through a couple of lower femur transplants, been a lot of medical stuff in her life. And she's doing great, by the way. She's all good right now. Just had to have a knee replacement, believe it or not, at 22 years old. But she's faced with challenges, right? We all are, man, to some degree. Everybody is, and it tested my mental fortitude for sure, which I think is, helped me in a lot of ways, especially in business. But more importantly, Sean, at the end of the day, it made me always remember on a daily and hourly basis to this moment how wonderfully thankful I am to God for giving me another day. And as you know, I'm sitting there with this ball cap on because I had cancer removed on a 6-hour surgery this morning. And I was so happy to get through that surgery. I was thankful that I was in a country that actually had numbing cream and Novocaine and stuff like that they could shoot into, et cetera. And I'm excited to be able to talk to you. And I'm excited that hopefully this program can influence some young folks up there at the Maine Community College area. And man, I put an exclamation point. Let's not forget, I was one of those kids that I didn't have a plan, man. And my parents didn't have a lot of money. And I didn't have a way to go get a $100,000 scholarship. And this business helped me make more money than I ever thought that I would. And I just would continue to press that into the young minds of this is a business to love because it's a lovely business of loving people.
I think I'll draw it to a close here that one of the things to me when I talk to you is like, I mean, you are a big deal. And the fact that a guy that's a successful running a hotel that's 400 rooms, running 150 hotels, 6,500 associates. I mean, all of that is a magnitude. But when it boils down to you, just a guy, you got a family, and you try to balance them both. And I think, the message that I'm hearing today is that, you're happy with your success in business, but you're able to take that pendulum. And sometimes you're working 60, 70 hours a week, and other times you're going to go off and go to a Halloween haunted house with your kids. And to me, that's a sign of a real man and a real leader. And maybe you're leading other people in our industry to do the same. So I can't thank you enough for being here. It's meant a lot to me personally. And I still get kind of teary-eyed. I want to hear you talk about your daughters and your dad. And I'm going to go home and I'm going to sand the inside of my drawers. Well, not my drawers, my bureaus.
Hey, Hey, I appreciate you, Sean. You are, thank you for the kind words. I don't really feel like I deserve them. I'm a glorified night auditor, but I am, which is a great position, by the way, also. I am thankful for getting to know you over the many years. And I really hope that everybody that hears this, if you have a child, you tuck them in and you touch them and they're 98.5 degrees, you have a lot to celebrate because they're 98.5 degrees. And I tuck hey man, I know they're all over the country, but I tuck them in differently a little bit now that they're, moved all over the place and whatnot. But I still tuck them in and I still celebrate that they're 98.5 degrees every single day of my life. So thank you for your friendship, Sean. Thanks for letting me and to your whole team that's behind the podcast. Thanks for letting me spend a little time with you guys. And I appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
That's great. Well, thank you to our listeners. We appreciate having you here, and we'll catch you the next time around.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bed and Butter, the hospitality podcast produced in partnership with Southern Maine Community College. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so that you don't miss any episodes, and have a butterful day.